Hey Darren, it's Mike here from Mikesogacademy. So I just happened across your swing on the community on Huddle, and I was going to see if maybe give you a few pointers, see if you need some help with your driver. So anyways, I got a few lines around here. So the first one, let's look at this one right here. Basically, that just shows me the tilt of your swing. So at setup with most clubs, the sternum for right-handed golfers can be slightly backwards to the right of the middle of the pelvis. And with driver, 173 is pretty much ideal, so you're doing great there. I got a few other lines around here, basically from the hip straight down. It kind of shows me what your pelvis is doing throughout the backswing, if you're swaying off the golf ball and some other stuff. So let's take you back to P2, which for me, P2 is basically hands level to hips on the backswing. So as we get into P2, we can see that you got quite a bit of lateral motion. So you're definitely breaking that line. So typically when I see players do that, they have to do something on the downswing to kind of shift their pressure back into the right place. So let's keep on running your swing through and see if we see any of that. So we get up to the top of the swing, quite a big full turn. Let's get an angle right here. Yeah, so 29 degrees of turn, that's a pretty good turn right there. It could be more though, I think you get a bigger turn. And then let's see if you get an excessive lateral shift forward, which you do. And then you get yourself back into a pretty good position here. But it looks like basically, so let's say P4 is top the swing, P5 on the downswing is hands level to shoulders, P6 is going to be right here, and then P7 is impact. For my system, I like teaching. So anyways, P6, it looks like from P6 to P7 and then to P8, there's not a lot of rotation going on, so you got a little bit of what we call stall out. So whenever the body stops, the hands and the arms got to go, right? That's the only thing that can keep moving forward. So then you got a lot of forearm roll, or you could call it supination through impact to kind of square up the face. It also pushes swing direction out quite a bit to the right. And if you don't match, the thing with driver, if you don't match swing direction, which is kind of weird, it's not path, which is measured at a certain point of time. Swing direction more so is kind of where your club head is kind of swinging general direction wise. If you don't match swing direction with angle of attack, you can start getting some pretty weird path numbers. So let's just give an example, because I kind of think yours might be falling under this category. So say you get your swing direction going like 4 degrees to the right. Well, you have to hit up on the golf ball 4 degrees as well to get your path swinging neutral at the target. So I think for you, I don't think your angle of attack is 4 up on the ball. I'd say you're pretty level. You might even be hitting down on it slightly. So whenever you're hitting down on the golf ball and your swing direction is to the right, your path is not kind of neutral, and you're going to start getting some pretty big blocks or some pretty big overdraws because you can't control the face, and as well you're starting to tilt the axis of the golf ball. So I think a lot of this leads up into kind of your pivot and your ideas around pivot. So I like to see my players basically when P2, this left hip right here, or right hip, excuse me, is going to still be on this blue line like such. Now from there, basically from P2 to P3, or basically from the hands are traveling from the hips to the shoulders, you're going to see a little bit of space between these two lines. That's more of what we call a centered pivot. Now the reason why I like a centered pivot, if you get into, I don't know if you've heard of body track kind of stuff like center mass, center pressure type of stuff. Whenever you have that shift that you got going on right now, your center mass is moved off the golf ball, and it's pretty evident if you take a look and if you understand that your center mass right now is at that 173. And as you can tell, it's moved quite a bit. Now, if we draw another line here too, if we take a look at kind of your foot and zoom in here, we can see that the pressure is shifting back all the way kind of to the back side of your right foot. So your center mass or everything's moving a little bit too far laterally, which then makes you have to push really hard off of that, which then gets that right foot coming up pretty early, or right heel coming out the ground, and you get that little spin out, little slide move going on right here, which is a little bit inconsistent at the time, especially if you're not a tour player. I mean, there's some great tour players that do all these stuffs, and again, what you got to realize is those guys get to practice all the time, and they're just physically gifted. So I mean, they can get away with a lot more stuff than kind of us normal people who don't have the time to practice all the time and aren't as physically gifted. So I would clean up your pivot first. That would be something to look for. Now, once you clean up your pivot, if you have your old downswing move, which is a big lateral bump like you got going on now, you're going to hit the ball worse, and you're going to think that I'm the worst coach in the world. So I got to get into a little bit of leg work and how I think the leg should work on the downswing before we get into that. So let's go off the basis that you got a centered pivot now. So I'm going to redraw the lines. Let's just pretend that you're centered over the golf ball, you didn't sway, and these are our new lines right here, correct? So what I like to see is the initiating move. There is a pressure shift to the lead side heel, but a little bit more rotational. So even as we get pretty much down to P5, we can see that our left side pelvis is starting to drop below the right like such. And then your right shoulder is going into right bend. So if you can think about right bend as just standing up tall and then bending over from the upper spine, that's what we call right bend. And you want to have right bend in the golf swing. You just don't want to have it right off the in transition, because that's going to start pushing swing direction off to the right, and we know what that causes. So I like to see my players getting this left hip right here working more in a rotational sense to the second arrow and not breaking the barrier like you are like such. I'd like to see basically once the hands get level to hips right here, this hip is going to be still on this wall right here, and it's going to be cleared and a lot more open. And you'll also see this right knee. Let's get an angle going on right now. You've already kicked this in probably around. So if you kick this in quite a bit, see how much it's laterally moved forward. It's going to be a little bit closer, probably still closer to about this wall right here at that point. So you're going to see basically both knees in transition are going to work a little bit more what we call external slightly. And then once you get level with the hips, then you can have this knee right here work internal like it is this way. You're going to start seeing this knee right here straightening a touch, going into what we call extension. And then you're going to get into that right bend that we were talking about, getting that right shoulder lower to the ground. So simply put, make it into a feel and make it kind of easy for you to think about. You're going to feel like your knees are going to, if you ever seen Sam Snead, you're going to feel like your leg works a little bit more like Sam Snead, and it's a little bit more rotational in transition. And you're also going to feel like your shoulders are a little bit more level at this point than they are. So yours is definitely on an incline right now. So I'd like to see just a touch more level at this point. And then once you get down to your hands level to hips, then you're going to feel like everything fires laterally. So kind of the whole idea behind it is I like my players to open up and get the hips open to the ball target line before they push laterally. That's an easy way to kind of start controlling face to path issues and kind of getting a better grasp of how to control your club face without using your forearms to manipulate it through the impact zone. It's for someone like you that I guarantee you swing the club pretty fast, maybe in like the 110 range, 112 range. You're gonna have to start to get consistent to get to a good level of golf. You're gonna have to have a really consistent face to path, and you're also gonna be able to have especially if you want to optimize driver, you want to be able to hit up on the golf ball. So to do all these things, you definitely got to get your lower body working more in the sense that I was kind of going over. So in the future, if you need any help, feel free to contact me. I'm going to leave my email on my website. For 2018, for the month of January, I got a free promo going on. If you want online memberships, it's basically all you have to do is you got to go to my Facebook page, like my Facebook page, go to my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Mikesogacademy. I'll leave some links in the email. And then you also got to refer me a friend. So referral counts, basically they can sign up for a paid lesson, online lesson, or a paid online membership, or they can do the 2018 free promo as well. Have them kind of give you, or have them when they email me say your name, that you're the referral. Makes it easier for me because I'm getting a lot of them right now. So it's kind of hard to keep up with. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm going to send you this video. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you can see some improvement. And let me know how it goes.